Good morning everybody, and this morning the exiled yellowbelly has sneaked in under the radar back into Lincolnshire. I'm here to visit my parents in the village of Welton, just outside Lincoln, and on the way I have stepped off at the village of Scampton. Now, you may not have heard of the place, but if you're into aircraft or air warfare or aerobatics, then the name RAF Scampton will be very famous to you. RAF Scampton is known worldwide as the original home of 617 Squadron, better known as the Dam Busters, and also until recently the home of the Red Arrows, world famous aerobatic team. Now, I'm not going to go on about the Dam Busters or the Red Arrows today, as there's a lot of experts who know much more about those subjects than me. But I am here to tell you about a much less well-known story, which is of the 9 German airmen that are buried in the graveyard in Scampton's church, St. John the Baptist. So, for that, we need to make our way to a local church, and that's where we're going now. So here we are at the church of St. John the Baptist. This graveyard contains 64 commonwealth graves, 43 other graves of personnel who died on active service, and 8 graves of German airmen. Now, I hope to tell the stories of some of the other servicemen in this churchyard at a later date, but this morning I'm just going to concentrate on the graves of the German airmen and visit their graves. On the 12th of May 1941 at 1:35 a.m, a Junkers 88 of the German Luftwaffe, on its way to bomb RAF Hemswell, was shot down by Scampton ground defences. The tail unit was seen to break off the plane, burst into flames and crashed into farmland on Brattleby Lane. The owner of the farm, Mr. Miller, and his wife rushed to the crash scene, but 3 of the 4-man crew, Wilhelm Hansen, Johannes Dietrich and Helmut Wiemender, were dead. The pilot, Kurt Manning, died in Mrs. Miller's arms. 5 days later, however, a farmer found another body in a field, which could only have come from the Junkers. The body had no identification, and I'm presuming could not be determined as to what sex it was. I say this because when the 4 airmen were buried with full honours, a 5th body was buried with Helmut Wiemender, which begged the question, why was there a 5th crewman on a 4-crew aircraft? For 20 years, legend persisted that it was Helmut Wiemender's girlfriend who had stowed away to go on a mission together, and that's why they were buried together. But in 1960, a farmer ploughing his field dug up dog tags belonging to a Lance Corporal E.H. Riedel of the Junkers 88's ground crew, who was on the plane unofficially, as the day after the crash he had been reported as absent without leave. So the mystery of the 5th Airman was finally solved. The other 4 German airmen buried here were from another Junkers 88. On the night of the 4th of March 1945, a night known as the Night of the Intruders, 200 Junkers had flown to Lincoln to shoot down bombers returning from bombing raids on Germany. This particular Junkers had already shot down a Lancaster in Langworth and was getting out of town before mosquito night fighters arrived on the scene. The pilot, Sergeant Heinrich Konzer, seeing lights on the ground, dived to strafe the vehicle, thinking it was activity on Scampton airfield. It was in fact a car being driven on the Welton to Hackthorne Road by a member of the Royal Observer Corps, Jack Kelway, who was just about to go on duty. Konzer didn't see the telegraph poles or wires and hit them, sending the plane crashing into the car, killing all 4 crew members: Sergeant Konzer, Rudolf Scherer, Werner Wallau and Alfred Altenkirch, and unfortunately Jack too. Jack P. Kelway is buried just up the road in Newport Cemetery in Lincoln. He was the only member of the Royal Observer Corps to be killed on an active service. Both air crews were buried with full military honours. In the 1960s, many German war graves were being moved to the large German war cemetery at Cannock Chase, Staffordshire. But the relatives of the 9 airmen buried here asked for them to remain in Scampton after seeing how the graves of their loved ones were treated with the same respect as the Commonwealth graves. Now, as I say, I will return here someday for more stories of the servicemen who rest here. But for today, I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and ding the bell for further notifications. I'd also like to thank my dad for reminding me of the graves. We used to live in Ingham, just up the road from here, when I was in my late teens. And I used to ride my motorcycle past these graves twice a day for 3 years on my way to work. But I never took any notice of them. If anyone knows, did the graves used to have railings around them? Could you put it in the comments down below? I seem to remember a square of railings. And also, I don't claim to be an expert. If I've got anything wrong, please let me know in the comments below. Right, now as we come past the cenotaph here, just inside the gate of the graveyard, if anybody ever wants to come and have a look, it's just inside the gate. And then as you come in the gate, you turn right and you will see over here these 8 graves standing on their own over here. And here are beautifully kept in the same way as all the graves. Kurt Hanning. Helmut Riedler and E.H. Rydell, the man that was found a few weeks later, and 20 years later, they found out who he was. Alfred Altenkirch, he was in the 2nd Junkers. Heinrich Kont. He was the pilot of the second Junkers that crashed into Jack Kelway's car. Rudolf Scherer. Werner Meller. Wilhelm Hansen. And Johannes Dietrich. All buried here in the same way, with respect, as the other Commonwealth graves, and graves of servicemen killed in active duty, all looked after by the War Graves Commission in this graveyard. See the graves all up in the distance. It really is, apart from the traffic going past, it really is a beautiful setting. And now I'm going to be on my way now, because I know just a couple of miles up the road my mum has got me a lovely bacon roll ready and a steaming hot cup of tea. So I'm going to say goodbye from Scampton, St John the Baptist churchyard. I'm going to say I hope you enjoyed it. As I say, if you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel and ding the little bell. And I'm going. Have a nice weekend and I'll see you later. Bye bye.